Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bad Movie Reviews podcast. And this is episode 4. It's gone quick, hosted by myself, Ben, and we've got Daniel. You can, of course, join us every week on all major podcasting platforms. Come on. And, of course, visually on the YouTube aspect under Bad Movie Reviews. So, first of all, I guess we'd probably like to apologise for the short episode last week. We probably didn't go into as in depth as we'd like on the Sandman. Bit short on time, but got it out nonetheless. But this pod will probably be a lot more juicy. We've got a few things to cover. We've got 2 movies. We saw Beast and The Invitation, and we will probably give like a short little impression thing on obviously House of the Dragon, or House of Dragons. I'm not sure exactly how it is, the Game of Thrones prequel show for anybody who doesn't know. But first of all, obviously, we like to touch on our movie news. So a bit more beefier this week, actually. This one I'm all for. Matt Reeves, director of obviously the Planet of the Apes trilogy and most recently Batman. He's signed a first look film deal with Warner Bros, which essentially means anytime he writes new material, Warner Bros basically have first look and first rights if wanted to that material before he shows any other studio. And in doing so, they've pretty much confirmed that one of those is Batman 2 in the works. Because they've never actually announced it, even though it's not really a surprise. I think it's obviously done very well financially. Yeah. But essentially, Robert Pattinson's also been confirmed to return. But it's interesting. Obviously, multi first look film deal. So it's obviously covering a fair few films there, potentially. Not sure whether they're all going to be, Batman related, or whether it's, obviously all his other films I've loved his other films, like the Planet of the Apes trilogies.
One of the best trilogies ever.
Extremely underrated.
I loved it so much.
Extremely underrated, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the first time Warner Bros. have done that since merging, and it's interesting because obviously they've been struggling, but this is a little bit of another news covering Warner Bros. That Aquaman, which was due to come out March next year, has been delayed to December. So it's been delayed about 7 months. And Shazam 2, which was due to come out this year in December, has been moved to the Aquaman 2 date, so March 2023, which I presume is mainly because no one wants to go near Avatar 2.
Yeah,
which is
smart.
But apparently, Warner Bros. After the merger, and obviously we covered the fact that they cancelled the Batgirl movie, and they've pretty much cancelled all their animation, that they don't actually have enough money to market more than 2 movies for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? It's
Well, like, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, marketing in a film, like, realistically is basically the budget. So it's, if a film's budget's 150 mil, they're probably going to spend 150 mil to market the film, which they've got Black Adam coming out, and Don't Worry, Darling, which is their other big one, which is like a thriller. I don't know if you've seen the trailer. It's the one with Harry Styles and Florence Pugh.
No, I haven't seen it, actually.
I'm very excited for it, but it'll probably make a lot of money purely for having Harry Styles in it. But
that's fair. I'll go watch it for him.
Yeah, I'll go watch it for him, or Florence Pugh, more like it. But,
oh, yeah.
It's super interesting that they've all canned all these films, but then they also don't have enough money to market movies. And obviously, essentially delaying that obviously kind of makes sense, because I don't think anything will come close to Avatar 2 money.
Nah, not at all. And it's a big risk doing all their kind of delaying and changes and rescheduling, and I don't know. I thought when you said they were going to delay it, actually, that it was going to go for a recast. And
well, potentially. I know.
Kind of feeling.
Who knows? Because they've obviously got the Flash in there as well, which they're dealing with the Ezra Miller situation, which he actually came out and apologized, which is a bit of news.
Yeah.
Came out and issued an apology. So who knows whether he'll, be there for the actual marketing of the film. But I think it's interesting. It's interesting what's going on with Warner Bros. Obviously, they've not got money, but then they've obviously signed Matt Reeves to a multi-year film deal. So who knows? The next one, kind of touching on a bit of Matt Reeves, that 20th Century Fox is actually moving forward with a new Planet of the Apes installment.
Woo!
Not directed by Matt Reeves. Obviously, it's a different studio, but Owen Teague has been penned to star it, who Hasn't actually, I did look him up before this, hasn't actually done anything of notice. He plays one of the bullies in It, the first one that goes into the tunnels.
Okay, yeah, yep.
But I mean, realistically, obviously, it's going to be mainly a motion capture performance, so they're not really going to need a star to play him. But what are your thoughts on the new Planet of the Apes?
Look, loved the most recent movie series. One of my favorite series, I think. They're very underrated, kind of like what you said. I think it'd be great to have a film, but is it too early? As in, it wasn't really that long ago they finished War of Planet of the Apes.
Well, that was 2018, I think. So it's been 4 years since, and then on top of that, obviously, that's just been confirmed, so it probably won't come out for another 2 years. But I'm intrigued to see whether they go for the route where it'll be fully like the world's cut, like like a reboot of Planet of the Apes kind of thing, rather than like a prequel.
Yeah.
And now this is the reboot, and it's a world with apes. I'm like, that'd be sick if they're all civilized, and yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm all for it, but this one actually kind of intrigues me a little bit. I love your murder mystery films, but Ryan Reynolds has been casted in a Cluedo movie, like the board game. Anyone listening in America or overseas, I think it is called Clue. For anyone who doesn't know, it's the board game, but in Australia it's called Cluedo. And Orion Uziel is penned to write it, who has written most recently The Lost City, which we both actually really enjoyed
that. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, which was not too bad, and 22 Jump Street, notable sort of works of them. But what are your thoughts on Clue movie? Cluedo.
Look, I think it's got good foundations altogether, the whole structure of the game, to be able to build a film out of it. I feel like it's going to have some, is it called Knives Out with Daniel Craig? I feel like it's going to have some of those elements to it.
Yeah, which I'm all for, like similar to, I mean, it'll touch on something later, Murder on the Orient Express, Knives Out. We've got news for both of them, actually, funnily enough, or not so much, but I really enjoy those films where it's like an unraveling of mystery, and obviously Ryan Reynolds kind of oozes a bit of charisma. He does play himself every film, really, but...
Yeah, look, I think actually, the more you talk about Cluedo, I think it's going to be great. I can already picture them using like the same movie all happening at the same time, but then like cutting between different people's point of views and never cluing into who actually has done the crime.
I think that's kind of like cool. Sherlock Holmes vibe with Robert Downey Jr., where it's like, you know, they're talking, they're in the middle, they're like, the conservatory, and it like kind of goes slow-mo. Like stylistically, I can see that the film would be really kind of cool. I'm all for it if obviously they've got a good writer. They deal with a bit of comedy, so obviously, you know, Ryan Reynolds as well, you're probably going to get a little bit of comedy. So I'm all for it. I'll be probably there first day to see it.
Yeah, 100%. Monopoly
hopefully, you know, pre-screening if we're good enough. Next one's a bit of Marvel news. Matt Shackman has been reportedly revealed, so it hasn't like 100% been confirmed, but it's been like leaked on all these insider stuff, to direct the Fantastic Four film, which is coming out 2024. Now, they haven't revealed the cast, which is due to potentially be at a Disney Expo in September. For anyone who doesn't know, he directed the whole series of WandaVision, so the whole thing, which I actually really enjoyed. Directed a few episodes of The Boys, Game of Thrones, Succession, which are all very highly regarded TV shows. So the man can direct. He's also penned to direct the Star Trek sequel. I know you're a big fan of Star Trek, which is the Chris Pine one, which I've been waiting for a sequel. I've enjoyed them, but
that's what got me into Star Trek, actually. To be honest, I always thought it kind of crossed too many lines of being maybe a little bit too on the nerdier side of things.
Well, that's the thing. And fans of the original Star Trek hate the new one. It's not really that nerdy.
With that movie series and all the kind of new stuff they brought out, they've really put these underlying elements of like great storytelling and action together with their kind of really in-depth sci-fi. And I'm like, man, I love this. Yeah, give me a sequel any day. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah. Look, I would be really intrigued to see a Fantastic Four directed by... Like, he obviously can direct. He's done a lot of... Mainly TV shows, looking at his history, but obviously that will kind of be his first film, I think the Star Trek one.
Yeah.
He's also penned to do, like, a Godzilla Kong TV show through HBO. So, I mean, the man's busy. If he's actually going to do it, I'd be surprised, to be honest. Like, it's... As I said, it's reportedly, but anyway, we'll jump on to the next one. Speaking of Knives Out, Ryan Johnson came out and confirmed that Glass Onion, a Knives Out story, which is the title, will come out December 23rd, 2022 on Netflix. So I think it was revealed that Netflix paid like hundreds of millions of dollars to Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig to pretty much do like a series of all
Yep.
different films. So this one's set in, I think, Europe.
Glass Onion.
Which I'm all for. It's an interesting name, but it's premiering at film festivals through September, I think, at TIFF and September onwards, which generally if a film's premiering at a film festival, it'll probably be all right. But Daniel Craig is reprising his role, but then every other cast member is obviously different.
It's fine.
I'm fine. Knives Out is probably one of my favourite like underrated films of it's very highly rated, but it didn't make a heap of money. It was I don't think I might be completely fucking wrong. Who knows, but I'm just going on a tangent. But I loved that film. I saw it multiple times in the theater, and I think it's one of those films that everyone can kind of enjoy.
I agree. Phenomenal film, and I've recommended it to so many people and recently watched it again.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Definitely look forward to a sequel. Been waiting for one the whole time since it was kind of half rumoured not long after it came out that there would be one. And love the name Glass Onion. Glass breaks easy, onion makes you cry. It's going to be a great combination, I reckon. Look forward to it.
Up on that because I didn't even think of that. Next one I actually am super keen for. I'm sure you will be. Francis Lawrence, the director of I Am Legend, all the Hunger Games movies, and the upcoming prequel of Hunger Games, is directing a BioShock movie for Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Green has been penned to write it, who's written some fantastic movies along with Blade Runner 2049, Logan, Jungle Cruise, the Disney
Love Jungle
rock
Cruise,
movie,
yeah.
And the Orient Express movies. Mind you, he's also written some absolute stinkers in Green Lantern and Alien Covenant. So bear that in mind. He's obviously had a good track record. But what are your thoughts on a BioShock movie? I know you obviously love the games. Myself, included, obviously loves it. But what are your thoughts on it?
Love the idea altogether. I think it'd be a fantastic thing. The universe is so in depth, and the way all the games made it all link together, and there's just so much story there. You can make anything out. There's so much universe that is built, and an underwater futuristic 1920s city is a pretty cool idea, and it's really messed up. And I feel like that's going to create these awesome like semi-horror concepts with some messed up gore, but also with
you've got the writer of Hunger Games attached, who obviously covered like a post, like a post-apocalyptic kind of city in a weird way, doing a creepy as thing. But I'm intrigued on seeing how it plays out as a movie because it's very much made in a game form, like made to be played as a game kind of thing.
Yeah.
With the first one, Netflix have the money to do it. I know they've been not Netflix necessarily, but I know Hollywood in general has been trying for yonks to do a BioShock movie along with any other video game. But yeah, I'll be really intrigued. I'll be watching it. I'm it annoys me though. That's the thing with like the fact that Netflix obviously kind of do these projects really annoys me because I'm going to sit there and watch it on a 60-inch telly rather than
correct
a film like BioShock, which you go down a rap show and you want to see the massive underwater city on IMAX kind of thing. Imagine going down an elevator and the whole screen expands and it's showing that city and it's like, cool, I'll be watching that on my 20-inch, iPad. Like that's the kind of shit that pisses me off. But
fair. I agree. There's and you'd hate for them to also wreck such a good. I always worry with video games going into movies, not vice versa. Movies being made first and then they make games off it, but games into movies, you built a 40-hour story that is kind of custom built towards you, and then you're going to make something that you didn't play.
Well, if we're being honest, there's not many very good video game movies.
No,
like all the ones that have actually been good have been children games.
Yeah.
Like Sonic was actually an enjoyable movie. Detective Pikachu I actually really enjoyed, but not really based on a story of a video game. That's the thing. I'll be intrigued to see The Last of Us TV show. That's something I think can be made well. But who knows how it'll obviously turn out. And I guess to cover off the last bit of news, Jay Roach, who's directed all the Austin Powers movies, Dinner for Schmucks, Meet the Fockers, is actually... they've now casted... They're making an Ocean 11's prequel starring Margot Robbie, was already confirmed, and now they've casted Ryan Gosling, who I love. They're going to work together. They're doing they just recently did Barbie,
Barbie,
which
Ken,
I'm all for. I can't wait to fucking see that. But I'm all for that. I think some of the Oceans films are fantastic.
I mean, 100% honest,
You
have
haven't
not
seen it.
seen
I
them.
can tell the way he looked in the eye. He's like, I've not seen
No
it.
idea.
It's essentially like a robbery, like heist film, but the first one had like, Brad Pitt, George Clooney. Like it was like the first film really that put together like A-list cast kind of thing. And they essentially rob. It's kind of like, it's hard to explain, but it like cuts, intertwines with all these different POVs. And
Yeah, maybe I have seen some of it, but not.
you haven't sat down and watched
Yeah.
it yet. I'm all for it. It's disgusting. But I mean, that's our last bit of news for the week, really. What we'll do, we'll quickly take a mini break, and we'll come back with our reviews of the films and that we've seen and House of Dragon. And welcome back. So, I guess for anyone who doesn't know, we've seen the two movies this week. So, I guess first of all, we probably might want to touch on, I guess, House of the Dragon. That's probably the one we'll chat about the least. Obviously, it's been one episode, so I don't necessarily know if we'll do this every episode, but we'll. I know everyone's been looking forward to this, so we might give our impressions on the first episode. What was or the show in general? What were your thoughts?
I loved it. I feel like anything that's got the name Matt Smith in it is just a smidge better, and that's just more of a personal preference than anything else. Look, imagine what it could have been if he wasn't in it.
We've seen that dancing scene.
It's got to be some of the best I've ever seen in my entire life.
That dancing scene.
Anyway, Matt Smith makes generally everything better. Personal opinion once again. But thoroughly enjoyed the episode. I thought a lot of the characters were well introduced and they're pretty cool. They didn't go heaps of in-depth into a lot of the characters' backgrounds, but I'm assuming that's going to come. But there was some nice throwbacks, which were good. Mentioning of certain last name characters, people to be, ancestors.
Yeah, they did do a fair few name drops, like
Yeah.
A Song of Ice and Fire, which is obviously the title of the books for anyone who doesn't know, and all the names, which I understand that was obviously cutting through to everyone pledging their allegiance to the king at the time. I've got the characters were really interesting. They kind of all hooked me, which is the main thing you want with obviously a dialogue-heavy show like Game of Thrones. Obviously, it always is going to look beautiful and it's going to have your gore, your violence. I mean, it was a pretty fucked up episode, but the dragons look fantastic. Obviously, you're going to have a lot more dragons in this. There's going to be a higher budget. I think Matt Smith was great. I haven't watched Doctor Who, but I know you love him from that. But I also thought Millie Alcock is her name, I think, the princess, which I think the show really kind of honed in around her.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if it's based on her. I haven't actually read the books, but I'm really excited mainly because I know that the source material is obviously already there, and George R.R. Martin has come out and obviously said he's working with HBO heavily on this.
Yeah.
Which he's also come out and kind of slandered Game of Thrones, saying he wanted 10 seasons. They made 8. D&D, the writers, wanted to cash their Star Wars money, but then because Game of Thrones Season 8 was so shit, they got canned. So that's funny. It seemed, one thing I noticed, it lays out the central issues and conflict very well within its first episode, which is good. And I did notice, I said this to you when we're actually watching, that it feels a lot more cinematic than Game of Thrones.
Without a doubt, definitely.
Obviously, Game of Thrones, when it started, was very much dialogue heavy and kind of close-ups, but you even noticed with the dragon shot, you had kind of the cinematic FPV drone and something that kind of came in every now and again in the later episodes. But I'll be watching every week. It's surprised me how many viewers. I think it had 11 plus million viewers on the first episode. Which is the biggest premiere in TV of the year, which surprised me just purely because I know so many people didn't like season 8 of Game of Thrones. So I'll be watching every week. I'm really keen. I thought it looks fantastic. As I said, we don't know if we'll cover every episode, but good to give our initial impressions and thoughts, and we may review it once the whole season's done. Who knows? Maybe a weekly thing, as I said, but. I guess we'll touch into the first film we actually saw this week, which was the Invitation. Anyone doesn't know, it's a horror film. I won't sort of spoil too much away. The plot basically is this girl's recently had her mother pass and does a ancestry kind of test and has a long lost cousin kind of message her and greet her and invite her to the wedding, and then fucking downhill from there. what are your thoughts? I'll let you go first on this one.
Look, it was an interesting concept, and it headed in a direction that I wasn't sure it was going to go in. It kind of had underlying elements of horror mixed with kind of like a chick flick rom-com. At times was the best way I can explain it. I felt like the concept was very good in theory, but it didn't excessively deliver well on it. Some of the shots were pretty cool, and I thought it was well filmed, but as in like a lot of the cinematography, a lot of the scenes were well shot, and they obviously put a lot of money and effort into a lot of it. I just don't think the story had enough substance to kind of make it a good movie. But I enjoyed it overall, but yeah, not fantastic.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
Excuse me, sorry. In terms of good parts, I thought the lead actress, Natalie Emmanuel, who was on Game of Thrones and in Fast and Furious, she was quite good, and she had good chemistry with the other lead, Thomas Doherty. I forgot his actual name in the film. The production design was really well. Obviously, it's kind of, even though it's set in the modern day, that the house is a Victorian time, like, times kind of house with obviously all the props in there. They were well done, but I guess touch on sort of things I didn't like. The CGI at times was fucking dog shit. Some of it was genuinely fucking awful. There's the climax of the film with fire is some of the worst CGI I've seen in a big budget. Not big budget, a B-list film, really, it kind of is. But
I thought it was just me that noticed that. I couldn't.
Oh,
I couldn't unsee it.
It looked fake as anything. I agree with you. There were aspects of kind of romantic comedy. There were like actual funny bits where I genuinely laughed, and I didn't mean to. I thought I was the only one in the theater laughing, mind you. Maybe it wasn't funny. Maybe it's just my sense of humor. But there were moments where I thought, oh, it's kind of funny, but. It wasn't scary at all, though. That's the thing. It kind of was a bit of a horror film. The one gripe I really have with it, and I know you haven't probably seen the trailer. For anyone who hasn't seen the film or will go see it, I probably don't really recommend seeing it to begin with. But I will probably touch on one little spoiler, which if you've seen the trailer, you would already know, because the trailer gave the whole film away.
Oh,
so Daniel, I saw this with Daniel and Corey, one of our friends, and if you haven't watched the trailer, it's obviously got a twist. Bear in mind, if you watch the trailer has pretty much 30 seconds of that wedding scene.
Oh,
so we're talking the cut of the throat in that trailer.
Gotcha.
And then this is my bride.
Yeah.
Wow. They had that in the trailer.
Wow. So
yeah, exactly.
They had the movie.
The biggest twist of the movie was in the trailer.
Wow.
So that's my biggest gripe. Now, bear in mind, obviously, it's not necessarily the film. They obviously outlie it to marketing companies and so on. But it just wasn't really a good movie. I felt like it didn't have it never felt like it hit its straps for me. And the climax and payoff, like the climax was really average. And the payoff wasn't great. Like, it kind of just ended.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't think it's like an awful movie by any means. I just think it exists.
Yeah.
There were certain moments I liked with the horror elements, but it's nothing that hasn't been done before. Like certain scares, but as I said, it wasn't really scary. But for anyone who doesn't know, it really kind of feels like the film that came out a few years ago called Ready or Not, which I actually really enjoyed. I don't know if you've seen that.
Is that the same director?
No. It's essentially like the same concept. It's about a girl who's with a fiance, and their fiance is like an old English family, and she goes there for pretty much before the wedding. And what happens is, we hunt, and essentially everyone tries to kill the fiance.
Okay, yep.
So you can kind of see where it's very, very similar. And it's obviously, I guess, a little take on Dracula anyway. The movie, obviously, the three, so...
Yep.
It's... I don't really know, kind of a film that has been done before, but it hasn't. But it's like, when you do films like this, you really kind of need to stamp your own thing on it, if that makes sense.
Needs to be
it needs to be unique in a way, which I just feel like this film didn't really have anything of. As I said, the things I liked, the performances to some aspect, and the production design was well done, but other than that, it just was kind of there, and I wasn't scared, unfortunately. I can't sit here and recommend you to really go see it, to be honest. It's kind of just disappointing.
Yeah,
I wasn't really expecting anything from it, but it was still disappointed.
Corey just got up and left at the end of the film.
Oh, no, that was just... I mean, well, let's be honest, he disappeared for 20 minutes of the film. But, yeah, other than that, that's... I guess, do you have anything else you want to kind of touch on with that? Obviously, after I've kind of spoken a little bit.
No, I think you've touched on most of that there. Definitely, look, it's not a recommendation. I think there was aspects, kind of like you said, aspects of good film, but it needed its own unique stamp to be significant and probably have greater viewing value. And it just didn't deliver, but it was a movie.
Yeah. And the thing that really hurt is like, actually, I mean, that's probably a creative choice. I was going to say none of the characters are likable, but I guess they're probably kind of going for that other than the main star.
The
main character. But yeah, that was our review of The Invitation. Do with that as you will. Go see it, don't see it. Can't really recommend you. But I guess we'll probably take a quick 2-second break again, and we'll come back with you with our review of the most anticipated film of the year, Beast. And I'm kidding. I really tried to rile you up. And we'll come back with our review of Beast, and we'll chat to you soon. Perfect. So we'll jump into our review of Beast. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a film starring Idris Elba. Basically, also deals with the passing of a loved one recently, and basically takes his 2 daughters to see his sister's brother, his uncle, their uncle, in Africa, and basically the rest is history. They come into face with a pretty savage lion. I know you have a lot of thoughts on this film, so I'll let you touch on it first if you'd like, or do you want?
I'm happy to touch on it. Yeah, I thought about it actually a little bit more after our conversation, and overall, I guess to start, I was going to sidetrack to that was I didn't overly enjoy the film at the start, which you're quite aware of, but I did think about it a little bit more, and I think it had actually some pretty cool elements that I really need to acknowledge first. Some of the cinematography, the way it was filmed was phenomenal. I actually really liked that they did that one-shot mechanism where it was kind of like going behind people, going to us, and it's a transition between scenes, but in that kind of like one filming technique. And I thought some of the shots, like when he was laying up against the tree, Sholto, yeah. I thought like that was phenomenal. I thought those two were actually really well acted. Certain things nitty-picky here and there, more of a personal take, but both Sholto and Idris Elba, I thought played their roles quite well and held that part of the movie. And I thought the concept of this kind of like outrageously, unnecessarily savage 7-9 foot lion was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I enjoyed that aspect. Probably would have liked a little bit more on the horror side. And it didn't really feel like they were ever really in danger from what I viewed. And I thought the girls kind of didn't really carry their part in the movie. I felt like if they maybe weren't there, it would have been better. But look, aspects of the movie enjoyed, but needed some work. But you got to acknowledge the things when they're there, and some of the cinematography, the way it was filmed, some acting from some of the key cast members was, really good. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the film?
I'll probably do a similar thing and touch on what I liked. Craft-wise, the film was a lot better than it probably deserved in terms of craft, like the actual behind the scenes. What you touched on, a lot of the film is done in a one shot, especially when they're dealing with that line situation, which I really liked. And if that wasn't a one shot, they kind of did like a weird, like a certain obviously cut, which made it look like it was still continuing the one shot. Especially in moments when they felt like when they were supposedly in danger, it was shot kind of very close and kind of done a little bit shaky, kind of evoke emotions as if you were there and kind of feel that sense of stress and thrill. At times, the cinema was gorgeous. Like that, it was apart from obviously being close-ups in those certain situations, the film kind of cinematography, not cinematography wise, but when there's shots that are kind of further away in a sense, where it's kind of showing you a lot of the nature around them, which I really liked, and certain shots looked unreal. I really enjoyed the score, like the music aspect of the film really worked well with it. And I agree that the two leads, like Idris Elba and Sharlto Copley, were quite good and did as much with the script as possible. But overall, the film just had a lot of shortcomings. What really I kind of was really like not upset, just like really kind of down about the film in a way. Because like watching the film, I have the most like utmost respect for the director because it's clearly and the crew because they're clearly capable of making a good film.
Yeah.
And you can see that the love they put into it with the craft. But this script is just fucking shit. Like, I'm sorry.
I'm so glad that you said
it. The script is genuinely like, it's just bad, really. I mean, the director's made good films before as well. Like, I really enjoy Everest, which he did. A lot of the films, weirdly enough, are situations where a character's stuck in a life or death situation.
Really
he
likes
made,
people being trapped, doesn't he?
Yeah. Just certain things didn't pay off or make any sense. There's certain dream sequences which just never come to fruition or don't really make any sense with Idris Elba's character. They're kind of just planted there. And in the end, it was just like a line said, like a line of dialogue said, everything is going to be okay. And it's like, why? Some character decisions are genuinely mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like, especially, I'm not going to sit here and say the girls like are awful actors because they're doing a lot better than me. They're probably younger than me and they're starring in a big budget film. But their decisions the characters make, like it's mainly the script.
I agree.
And the dialogue, it's just not good. There's a situation where a lion is literally tearing apart the car, and he basically says something like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave," and she, like, the character's genuine dialogue when nearly in a state of death was, "What, just like you left our mother?"
Yeah.
It's like, is it really a time to kind of go into that? Is it really a time to kind of delve into that aspect? It was only a 90-minute film and it kind of felt like it was like 2+ hours also.
At least.
Like 90 minutes is not long, really. It was nearly the same amount of time as the House of Dragon episode. To give you an idea, like 20 minutes.
We're talking spoilers on this now.
We'll touch on the spoilers. I've got a little bit. I think it's overwritten. There's a lot of side, not side characters, but side plots and things like that, which just don't need to be. It really could be a film about. You could have the part about obviously his wife passing. It could literally be a film about them going to reconnect as a family, and a fucking savage lion's trying to kill the whole people because poachers kill its hot pride.
Yeah,
like it's as simple as that. That the ending really doesn't hit. And it's possibly some of the worst, like at times, some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. It's like Uncanny Valley-like. There's a bit where Idris Elba's actually running away from a character, the lion, and it genuinely looked like, for anyone who's seen Free Guy, it genuinely looked like a scene from Free Guy where one of the animated characters in the game is running, and it's like, and that purposely went for that Uncanny Valley look. And I get the film had a $30 million budget, but when you've watched a film like Everything Everywhere All at Once that had a $25 million budget and it was a group of VFX artists that were all friends who'd never done visual effects before, you really sit there and you're like, how and why, really? As I said, the camera craft, unreal, and that's what really kind of upsets me, really, because you can see the love that they put into this, but it's purely, I think, the script. Every issue I have really could have been ironed out with the script.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue, the side plots, the fact that the film kind of felt like it's dragged, the ending doesn't hit. Obviously, the CGI, that's a bit of a different situation, but Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's not a good movie if we're being honest. It's not.
Thank
but
you.
I can respect. I give being a film fan. I can respect so much of the craft there. But I can't sit here and, similar to Invitation, I can't sit here and recommend for any of you listeners to actually go watch this film and spend your hard-earned money on it, especially when we've got films around the corner which look great. And I mean, I would prefer for anyone listening to Top Gun Maverick came out on VOD today. Go rent that for a 10th time and watch that. You will get much more enjoyment out of either of these two films. But I know you obviously said you kind of wanted to touch on spoilers.
Yeah, well, it was mostly only spoilers because my issues or my nitty-picky stuff may have led towards spoilers, and I just didn't want to say anything that led towards
You're
that.
better off being safe than sorry. You don't want to.
Yeah. So, yeah, if we're okay to do that. And I actually didn't think you'd pick the movie as much as that because that's what I was going to kind of say. And I thought I'll take it a little bit easy until we get to this part. But you're right, 100%, 90% of the problems could be nearly fixed with the script or someone maybe directing the film at all because it didn't seem like that at times. Some stuff just didn't make sense. One, you're right. When he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go out of this line," she's like, "You're going to leave me like Mum did." And I was like, "Oh, like you did to Mum."
Like you did to Mum, yeah.
I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, why is that
It's not
necessary?"
the time and place.
There's a lion out there hunting them during one of the scenes, and they've been stuck in this car for 6 hours. And it's pitch black outside. And they sleep next to an open window for 3 hours. You know, I have a couple of issues with that.
Yeah, it's half.
An
It's
open
half,
window.
it's half.
An open
yeah,
window.
it's like half.
No. It's the window that got smashed by the lion. They sleep next to it for 3 hours. This thing's been hunting them, breaking down the car, and they got a window completely open and just fucking happened. It was like, are you kidding me? That doesn't make sense. What was the lion so aggressive? They drove like 20 kilometres away from the lion, chased them to the house, but that's fine. Very aggressive lion, obviously shown throughout
I
the
don't
film.
know how a lion survives like a car landing on it and
then
getting burnt as well. But I mean, lions are pretty strong. Like, to be honest, they are pretty heavy and whatnot. I'm not surprised. Like, to be honest, if someone came and killed my family, I'd probably go on a rampage too. So, I mean, it's probably not a far-fetched thing if a lion, I mean, it is a movie. Obviously, it's it's a piece of fiction, really. But
finds a quote-unquote safe place where they just unlock the door, then leave the front door open, and then leave the back door open.
Yeah, like there's certain character decisions which just don't make sense, and like obviously they're written there for, like, at the end of the day, it just, they're written there. I don't even know, like, because it's just stupid.
It doesn't make sense.
They're written there obviously to kind of move the story along. It feels like that's just everything, what everything is. There's not things that are like. It really could have been like a film like Buried. Do you remember the Ryan Reynolds film where it's one location and he's in the coffin and he's been buried alive? It could have just been.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's a good movie. It could have just been a film like that where they're literally, like, they have the same build up. They're in the car, but then it stays in that situation and they're in the car and it's like trying to outsmart the lion. Like, I thought that could have been really cool, but it's like, no, you're just going to run away. You're going to try and kill it. You're going to do this, do this, do this. It's just, it really is the script. And I know you said it could have been directed better, whereas, like, my thoughts were obviously the craft side of things were unreal. And I think what really happened is they just went through COVID. They've written a film within a certain amount of time and they've went, whatever, let's make this. Let's get a small budget. And they've gone, this script is dog shit, but let's put all that effort into the craft side of things and just make it look good.
I feel
because
like
the film did look good. If we're being honest, like the actual film side of things, it looked fantastic.
without a doubt, and I agree with that.
I'm not
completely.
sure exactly who wrote it. I don't know if it was the director who wrote it or the 6-year-old girl in the film. But it's just like character motivations and decisions. Just like any logical person would sit there and just be like, this is stupid. It's like the whole film. Like, you might sit there in a horror film and you might sit there and, like, you know, someone's chasing this girl and she might go, oh, nah, my boyfriend Billy in the house, I need to go get him, even though the horror man, like, the horror, like the killer's on the loose in the house.
Yeah.
And you're like, why the fuck would you do that, right? That might be one situation in a horror film where this film is like that the whole 93 minutes. Well, actually, not so much. Probably from the lion bit onwards, really. Which even then it took took probably like a good hour to get into that situation.
Yeah.
Like, really kind of 40 minutes of the film was a normal movie until up that stage.
Character decisions mixed with the script made it real bad. Like touching on some more things, like why they're in Africa and they're wearing their LA clothes, which is like a winter jacket plus winter long sleeves plus a shirt and undershirt with pants, and they're like, oh, it's pretty hot out here, and they wear that for the extended time of the film while they're too hot. Now I can understand, maybe you'd wear more clothes because of infections, X, Y, Z, but do you know that much? You go to knock out a lion and you're just like... Oh,
Probably paid off for them, though. Wearing that Canada Goose jacket, the lion's teeth might not have dug in too much, you know?
The fact that man is alive at the end of that movie.
Oh.
The lion...
I mean, you'd be surprised what adrenaline could do to you in that moment, but it did, like, fucking tear his back apart almost.
It bit his chest and back and arms multiple times. He got scratched once and he was bleeding the hell out of because this lion was huge. And then...
He's a big lion. But that's the thing, with the visual effects, it actually looked great at moments as well. Like, the lion actually looked really good at moments.
I actually thought that was really well done.
But then it was the scene... The end scene?
That, like, the end scene of, like, him getting bitten and then, like, the other lions coming in and stuff.
But the bit of him running away?
Oh, I don't know why they pulled out the Nintendo 64 for that scene, but it was shocking.
It was SNES
and
level.
when Sholto goes to pat the lions that he's friends with, like... They CGI'd his whole body except his head, and then his arms are moving in like weird formats while he's trying to do stuff. I'm like, this is not right. And like, someone's playing Legend of Zelda here, and I wasn't invited. It's I just have too many nitpicky stuff.
This is the first episode we've kind of sat here and said both films are not good, and don't see either of them.
Go watch House of Dragon. It's fantastic, and I can't wait for the rest.
Go watch Top Gun Maverick for the 10th time.
Everywhere, Everything All at Once, Everything Everywhere, whatever it's called.
Everything Everywhere at Once.
Probably one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's all I guess I've got to touch on with Beast. Not a good film. Respect it for what it tried to do. It just, maybe get a better script writer next time. It's as simple as that. Do you have anything else you kind of want to touch on really for the film or for the pod?
I just have more nitty-picky things. So no, I'm all good. I'm all good.
You don't want to? No. Easy. Well, I guess we'll leave it there. That's all we have time for. It was probably a little bit of a longer pod than last week, which is, I guess, a good thing. So thank you for joining, listening for this week's review. And as discussed, go to any major podcasting platforms if you want to give us a listen, Apple, Spotify, so on, and obviously the visual aspect on YouTube. But other than that, we'll catch you next week and have a good one.